Hello, everyone, and welcome to the last virtual session on Matie Valued Parent. My name is Vera Benga, and I'm from the Development and Alumni Relations Office. So today's topic would be on student finance. It is Money Matters, hashtag Money Matters, engaging with student finance. Today, we're joined by Bradley Vidboy, the finance coordinator, the bursaries coordinator from student finance, as well as Tabo Cholweni, who is the student fees coordinator. We'll be telling you more about what exactly is the student finance kind of structure in Stellenbosch University. So if you have any questions, please make sure that you post them on our chat function, and then Tabo as well as Bradley would be able to answer them at the end of their presentations. But then we also do have some of our staff members that will be answering some of these questions online. So thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy this. Over to you, Bradley.
Thank you, Viwe, for that lovely introduction. Good evening, everyone. Okay, let me just turn on my camera to show I am a real person. Good evening. Okay, let me just share my screen. Okay, to save some bandwidth, I'm going to turn my camera off for this. So, good evening and welcome again, everyone, to the Money Matters talk. I'm just going to be talking about our side from the student finance division, what our role is, and how we play a part in your student journey. Okay, just give me one more second. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to do a brief introduction. We're going to speak a little bit about the student finances division. Tabo will elaborate a little bit more about that. We'll also be talking over some student fees, the role of the Center for Undergraduate Bursaries and Loans, and also some ways to contact us. And we will also be having a Q&A session after my presentation. So if you have a question, you can type it in the chat and then we can get to it once I've completed my section. So just an introduction on our department. Student Finances is a new division that includes the student fees and the Center for Undergraduate Bursaries and Loans. There's a little abbreviation there. The student fees administers the transactions on the student fee account and are responsible for the fee account. The CUBL administers bursaries and loans based on the criteria set by funders. So that's how the two departments are one. So I'm just going to briefly touch on student fees. What are some examples of student fees and what you can expect? So the university fees per year, these include mainly your tuition, plus study-related additional costs, such as module cost. There's also some societies that might also be associated with your tuition cost. But all of that is detailed in your student fee statement. This includes also your accommodation if the student is not staying at home. Also miscellaneous, these are all network charges, student card, printing, laundry, club and society membership fees, also PSO fees for private students, house fees for students in residence and parking, etc. So those are the typical examples that you'll see on your student fee statement. So some of the services that we do offer, the Stellenbosch University Student Fees Department is responsible for managing and overseeing all aspects related to financial accounts. There are some key functions that we do look at, such as the student accounts, where we oversee the detailed statements of all charges and payments related to student studies, including tuition, accommodation, and other fees, which were detailed in my previous slides. Financial offerings, we offer to support students with offering support with fee payments and account inquiries. So if you have any questions, when or if you do join Stellenbosch University, or maybe you're already here, you are more than welcome to reach out to our fees department, and they can assist you with any queries or questions you might have. So some other services we do offer, there are rebates, discounts for early settlement of tuition fees, meal quota, assisting with challenges or issues in loading meal quota, and also credit refunds. Applications are done through the Student Finance Service Desk. So we have a finance desk where you can log your tickets or you can log your refund over there. Tabo will probably touch a little bit more on that. So just a little bit more detail on the rebates that we do have. There is an early payment discount. This is a rebate of 3% on tuition fees, and it's available if the full amount is paid by 31 March. So that would have been 31 March 2025. Application forms must be submitted with proof of payment, and the deadline for applications is 31 September. So you have to apply and then you have to pay before the 31st of March. There's a family discount as well. Families with three or more members enrolled full-time may receive a 10% rebate on tuition fees for each student. A prescribed form must be completed and submitted. There is a deadline for this as well. It's also the 31st of September. Just note that there's a little disclaimer at the bottom. It says that the rebate does not apply to module and program cost for certain programs. So just note that as well. Then lastly, we will have the staff rebate. This applies to members and immediate families as per the human resource guidelines and employment contract. Applications are done by the staff member through the HR portal. There's a deadline for that as well. It's the 31st of April, and the rebate will be applied after the deadline has passed. Okay. So next we will touch on the payment methods that you can use to pay your student fee account. One, there is a debit order option where you can pay 10 equal installments. The fee payer needs to apply for the debit order option. There's an online payment where you can use your credit card. There's SnapScan, pay directly at the university cashiers, and also the EFT. So the university is registered as a public beneficiary. So if your bank picks us up as a public beneficiary, you can pay that way as well. The online payments, it's made on our webpage, My Son, and you can make the payment from there as well. So, some resources. So, if you would like to, let's say you're busy planning for next year, or you're already studying and you want to plan, you can make use of our resources. One, we have the provisional statement of fees, also known as the quotation. You can download this tool via the SU website, and it's available on the URL listed over here. All this information is available on our website as well. It's just maties.com. Another resource that is available to you is the student fees yearbook. So for detailed info on when payment installments are due, different ways to make a payment, there are debit orders, SnapScan, EFT, SU banking details, etc. Also, if you need a copy of the student fees yearbook, it can be downloaded from the fees website. So most of this information is available. It's a quite lengthy URL, but if you do Google maties.com, it should take you to our main webpage for provisional students, or prospective students rather. That would be the better word. I'm going to skip these questions for now. Now, that was me touching on the student fees division. Next, we will be looking at the division I am part of, the Center for Undergraduate Bursaries and Loans, and let's just see our role in your student journey. So we assist prospective and current students who wish to apply for funding to help cover their university expenses, as we believe that every student with the potential to succeed academically should be given appropriate opportunities. SU has two main criteria for allocating funding. One, we can fund you based on financial need, and two, we can fund you on academic merit. I will be detailing that in my next slides. So, the types of funding. There's the SU Academic Merit Awards. This is awarded automatically based on academic achievement, therefore no application required. There's the SU funding opportunities. So this is something that's coming up. So I would say it's something that we should be paying attention to. It's awarded based on financial need and academic merit. It requires an online application annually during the designated application window. There's also the non-SU funding. These are alternative options that students can explore. They are provided by the government and other private companies. They can be in the form of bursaries or study loans to help cover university cost. So just some examples of our undergraduate excellence awards. So for first years, we have the following awards that we can offer. It's the Vice Chancellor Award, the Achiever Award, Excel Award, Access Award. And then for our senior students, we have the Senior Merit Award. So just for some more information, the Vice Chancellor Award recognizes grade 12 academic results. It is for the top achievers in NSC, IEB, Cambridge, and other international exams recognized by SU. We give 15 awards annually, each award valued at 100,000 Rand. It is a once off payment to your fee account. Then we have the Achiever Award. This recognizes grade 12 academic excellence for the top 20 or for the 21st first year students. There are some categories here. So category one, it is the top 10 students, first year students enrolled at SU who excelled in NSC, IAB, Cambridge, or other international examinations as recognized by SU. Then we have category two, the top 10 first year students enrolled at SU who attended a quintile 1 to 4 school as classified by the Department of Basic Education and passed the National Senior Certificate. Each award is valued at 75,000 Rand. It is a once-off payment to the student's fee account. So as you can see, there are two categories. If you're not sure what a quintile 1 to 4 school is, it's just based on the classification that the government gives schools. Um, you are welcome to Google it if you want a little bit more information or if you'd like to see which quintile you fall into. So that you can prepare also so for next year. The next type of awards that we have is the Excel Award. This is for the top 1 to 5% of first time entry and first year registered students per faculty. So that's per faculty, top 1 to 5%. Each award is valued at 25,000 Rand. It's a once off payment to the fee account. And then the last award that we have is for first years, is the first year students from quintile 1 to 4 schools who have passed grade 12 NSC with an average of 80%. The value that you will receive is based on your average. So if you are if you have 80% but less than 85%, you will receive 5,000 Rand. If you obtained 85%, but you obtained less than 90% or between, you would receive 7.5 thousand Rand. And then the last category is if you have obtained 90% and above, it is a once off 10,000 Rand, which will be paid to your fee account. And the only thing you need to do is you need to make sure that your grade 12 results meet the criteria as detailed in the slides. So the next award that we have are for our current students. These are Senior Merit Awards. So the Senior Merit Award is given to the top 5% of senior students per faculty who achieve at least a 75% weighted aggregate in their previous academic year. The award provides a rebate of up to 20% on basic tuition fees, automatically applied after registration and the results are released. This is also again a once-off payment. Just a note there, it's a rebate on your tuition fees. So other fees like the miscellaneous fees or your accommodation fees, it's not part of that 20%. It's on your tuition fees. Just an important disclaimer to make there, I think. Then, if you'd like to apply for our funding, this is our SU funding opportunities, the SUFO. So, what is this? These are SU funding opportunities to assist students with emergency funding, shortfall, NSFAS students, and or outstanding graduate debt. That's a very important note. I will touch on NSFAS a little bit later, but it's very important. So let's say, for example, you are first year next year or you are first year this year. Hopefully you applied for SUFO opportunities. But in NSFAS, it's not a full cost bursary. They cover your tuition full cost, but your accommodation, it's capped to a certain amount. So applying for SUFO will enable you, should funding opportunities arise, to be considered for emergency funding or shortfall, um, and it is dependent on the funds that are available at that time, and also you meeting the criteria for those funds. But putting your name in the nomination pool or the consideration pool, it just means that you will be given the opportunity to be considered. So just another note there. Funding is awarded based on academic merit and financial need. For a student to be considered for funding, they need to complete an online application with all the required supporting documents. The information received will be stored in our database throughout the year for bursary allocations, provided the student meets the minimum eligibility criteria for suitable funds. Um, yeah, so let's just go over to the application dates. So the online applications for 2026 are open or will be opened from the 1st of July to the 30th of September 2025 for current students. So that's if you're currently enrolled at SU, those would be the dates that you can apply. If you are in grade 12 currently, the dates that you can apply for SUFO opportunities are from the 1st of October to the 30th of November. And what you need to require to apply is a valid SU number is required upon starting your application. There is a detailed process on how to apply. You can find that on our webpage. Again, everything is accessible from that maties.com webpage, but there's also a link in these slides. Um, sorry, I went to the next slide. The eligibility criteria. So for both prospective and current students can apply. Prospective students must have received a conditional offer or final offer from the university with a valid SU student number. I think a very important note. So you can't apply for funding if you haven't received at least a conditional or final offer from SU at the point that you are applying. You must be a South African citizen or have a permanent residence or refugee status. So the CUBL defines financial need as follows. Financially needy are students that find themselves in a gross household income of less than 350 per annum, a gross household income between 350 and 600,000, and students living with a disability. The missing middle are a gross household income between 350,000 and 600,000 per annum, gross household income of between 600,000 and 1 million per annum, and that one dependence in the household in the university. Okay, just a little typo on the slides there. Um, and then one dependent, and there's one dependent in the household or of the household income that's at university. So that's the eligibility criteria. The documents that you would be requiring when completing your application. So number one, you need a certified a copy of your ID. This is for the student and any parents or legal guardians. We need a proof of income. The examples of proof of incomes are pension, payslips, maintenance agreements, or government grant proof for parents or legal guardians. Proof of guardianship, if applicable, a letter from a social worker or an affidavit. If you only have one parent and you've lost the other due to death, we will need a death certificate, if applicable. And also, if you're applying for disability grants, we will need proof of disability that can be in the form of a medical documentation confirming the disability. Lastly, proof of registration or acceptance for each sibling who will be at university in 2026. Just another date there to note. So when you are applying and you have and you have a sibling or someone else attending the university, we will also need a proof of registration or acceptance for that individual. So, student communication. application, open dates and updates and outcomes. So at QC UBL, we will communicate with students on email through their @sun email address. At key stages of the application process, when applications open, the countdown reminders during the application period, and when applications close. Once applications have been reviewed, the outcome letters are sent to students normally during the first quarter of the following academic year. I am almost done. Lastly, the non-SU funding, and also I'll be touching next on the alternative sources of funding. But let's look at NSFAS, or the National Student Financial Aid Scheme. It's one of our biggest funders. It is a government-funded bursary that covers tuition, accommodation. As I mentioned earlier, it's capped, transport, books, and a living allowance. The CUBL NSFAS team only assists with the disbursement of allowances as per NSFAS funded list. Therefore, we do not manage the application or selection process of the bursary. NSFAS students can apply for SU funding opportunities to cover the shortfall as mentioned in the opening slides. So if you are intending to apply for NSFAS, please do also apply for the SUFO funding opportunities as well. And then our bank alternative funding solutions. So there's Student Hero. Student Hero partners with educational institutions and provides funding providers to help students and their family apply, qualify, and compare offers from major banks and alternative finance providers from a single platform at no cost. So that's what Student Hero does. There's also all of these bank and alternative funding solutions. Again, they are available on our website, martis.com. But just note, when you do apply for these funding, the applications are done directly on their website. So Student Hero, they have their own platform where you can go do your application. Likewise for Fundi, Matie, and also the bank loans. So Fundi, it specializes in education finance, offering a comprehensive student loan for tuition, devices, and even student accommodation. Manati, a alternative or alternate student funding, provides innovative funding solutions for university students who cannot afford to secure financing. Manati offers low-interest study loans for low-income earners. Their goal is to make tertiary education accessible and affordable. And then lastly, there are banks that you can apply for as well that offer study loans. These are ABSA, Capitec, FNB, Nedbank. I don't see Standard Bank on here, but that's also a bank that you can apply for, and they offer study loans based on income, your credit record, and the study program. So they all have interest rates which would probably be lower than the normal prime interest rate. But again, for more info, you can refer to our website, or you can go directly to these funding providers. You can go to their websites and also read a bit more on them. Lastly, how can you contact us? So the Student Finance Division can be contacted through the following channels. There is our service desk portal where you can log a ticket on the SU service desk and select student finances as an option. You will choose the appropriate query and fill in the required information and submit your query. You can also reach our student finance client service team. So we have a telephone line where you can dial 021-808-9111, and the available consultants will assist you. You can also visit our webpage. So there's the SU bursaries and loans at sunfinaid.ac.za. That's specifically for the finance division. That's our website over there. Or you can visit the student fees at the URL listed over there. Or if you are in a person that prefers face-to-face, you are welcome to visit us at our various campuses. The Stellenbosch campus, it's the Admin A building, Reineveld Street, Stellenbosch, and that's the postal code. Just a note there, The Admin A building is currently closed. We have relocated to the inorganic building, but if you do find yourself at Admin A, there are also info posters or information posters on the doors that will guide you to either one, the inorganic building, or two, where you can use a link to book a session with any of the funding coordinators. Lastly, our second campus, that's the Tigerberg campus. You can visit the funding coordinators over there in the clinical building. And the address is Francie van Zyl Drive, Tigerberg, the postal code. And our office hours are from Monday to Friday, 8 till 4:30. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you so much, everyone. Are there any questions? I will ask Viwe just to help me out with monitoring the chat. Um, but please ask away.
Thank you so much, Bradley. We'll have Tabo just jumping in, and then after
Okay,
Tabo, then we can answer all the questions.
no
Thank you,
problem.
though.
Thank you very much, Fiwe. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity. I see my colleague Bradley has already touched on most of my points in my presentation. So I'm just gonna go through just to review some of the points that he has mentioned there. So as we were mentioned before, Tabo, I'm working student fees coordinator as student fees. We are part of the student finance division, which consists of the bursary and loans, student fees, and the debt collection team. So I'll be talking more towards what you will see on the student account. Okay, so what we basically do in a nutshell as student fees, we just administrate all the transactions that you see on the student account. So
Sorry,
viewer, I
Tabo,
see
are
someone
you?
has a hand. Should I continue?
Yeah, please continue. But are you gonna show your face, or are you gonna do a presentation or continue with the presentation?
I will show my face during the
Okay,
Q&A.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay. Okay. So basically, we administrate all the transactions that you see on the student account. This includes your study fees, which is your modules, your tuition fees, the service fees, which will be your society fees, or your sports fees. If you are part of Matis, if you are playing for your rugby team, the certain membership fees that you sign up for Matis, and then they get charged on the account. And also other services that you will see on the account will be things like mail quota, printing quota, and washing quota, which I will touch base on later on. So basically, the main portion of your account will include the big bulk of your account will come from your study fees and your accommodation fees. So your accommodation fees will be levied on your account based on which res you're staying at, and also your study fees based on what programs or what modules are you registered on. So basically, student fees receives this information from the accommodation office or from the faculties people if you study fees, and then we levy the accounts. So most of the corrections, if there's any corrections that needs to be done on the account, mostly they need to start from the source, which would be your accommodation. And also if it's study fees, it will come from your faculty officer. So I'm gonna start with just touch on the payment options that Bradley mentioned. So basically we have two payment options to settle your account. So the first one, which is a SA standard payment plan. So by default, okay, I'm just gonna share the slide here. Sorry, just a second. Okay, I'm just gonna share this slide that was not in previous presentation. So we have two payment options. So the first one, which is the standard payment plan. So when you register by default, the student account will be placed on this payment plan. So basically, that payment plan requires you to pay 20% of what's outstanding each and every month, starting from end of Feb up until end of May. So you will have to pay 20% of what's outstanding every month. And thereafter, from June up until end of September, you will therefore pay 5% of it, 5% of the outstanding fees on the student account. Okay, so those are the percentage that I mentioned. So it's 20% from February up until May, and then thereafter is 5% from June up until September, and then that will settle your account. And then the second option will be the debit order payment option, where you apply for it. So there is a form that is available on our website, which is matis.com. And then you can just go to the fees section. There's a form that you can download, or you can just contact us. We'll email it to you. So after you've downloaded that form, you complete it, and then you submit to us together with your proof of banking details, and then we'll process it on the system. So what will happen is that the debit order process, the application, they open as from the beginning of the year once the study fees have been loaded. And then we then arrange with your bank once you've received the form from you. And then starting from the 1st of May up until the 1st of December. So the first working day of each month, we will deduct 10% of what's outstanding on your account. So your payments will start from the 1st of May, and then your last installment will be from the 1st of December. The debit order, it's valid from date of application for unlimited time. But however, if you want to cancel it, you will have to do that in writing, and then you have to give us 30 days notice so that we can just do the corrections together with the bank. So if you want to cancel your debit order, if you have received a bursary, or if you have settled your account in full, then you can just send us an email, but just note that you have to do it 30 days before time. Okay, so then there's those are the two payment options. Then there's a third way of paying the account, which is if you are a bursary funded. But if you are a bursary funded student from an external funder, so different from what Bradley's teams, the bursaries, Bradley's teams are administering. So if you're an external funder, if you have a company that is funding you, then at the beginning of the year, because most of the companies pay at different times. So other companies will pay when the student registers, others will pay based on their financial year, and some will pay mid-June. So the student will have to provide us during registration with proof of funding. So the proof of funding will definitely be a letter from your funders, definitely saying that we are funding this student for an X amount for the academic year of 2026. So once you have provided that letter, then we'll definitely log it on the system. So we'll put you on a different payment plan so that there is no interest that is charged while we wait for the payment to be allocated on your student account. So basically, these are the criteria for the bursary. So the bursary will have to state the year. If you have any outstanding fees from previous year, they must mention it on that letter. They must specify if they are covering only tuition fees, or are they covering accommodation, or are they covering your meals. So the letter must be specific to what the bursary funds you. And then when they make the payment, they then have to include the reference. For example, if it's funded by ESCOM, for example, then it will be ESCOM, and then it will be the student number. So that from our side, when we allocate the payments, then we know for which student and then for which funder must this payment be assigned to. So these are all the requirements. I'm sure that these presentations will be shared. I'm not gonna mention all of them. So what happens if your account is overdue? So if you are on a SA default payment plan, which is the first payment plan that I've mentioned, so if you don't pay the 20%, say by end of February, the account will start generating interest. So the interest is charged as from the 1st of March up until you have settled that 20%. So the rate in which the interest is charged, it will be charged at the prime bank rate. So depending on what the national prime bank rate is at that point in time, we will charge it daily, and then we will bill it per month. So if your 20% is outstanding for 15 days, we'll charge it for that 15 days, but we'll only bill it or show it on the student account at the end of the month. So that's the first penalty. The second penalty is that the student will be blocked from viewing their academic results. So if you miss any of the installment, the 20%, then the student will not be able to view their results when they are available. So they'll be able to see if they have a second op, for example, come mid-June, if there's a second op that the student needs to do. So we don't block that information, we just block the percentage that the student has achieved on their results. Okay, so once you have received your account, if you are on a standard payment plan, you can use the following payment methods to settle your account. So you can pay at our cashiers, or you can pay on our website, which is mates.com. You can also use SnapScan. You can just log into SnapScan and search Stellenbosch University, put the student number, or you can just do an EFT. There's the banking details there. What's important to note there when you do an EFT is important to use the student number as a beneficiary reference. So you just put in the student number, you don't put in any other information, just the 8 digits. Then the payment will be allocated. So that's for the SA default payment plan. If you are on a debit order, so this one doesn't apply for you. Okay, so I briefly mentioned the rebates that we do offer. So the first rebate is that if you settle the full study fees by the 31st of March, then you are eligible to apply for the 3% rebate. So if you have made the payment, there is a form that you need to request from us, complete that form, and then send it together with the proof of payments. So the criteria for that is that you must be an SA student, you must not be funded by a company. So the proof of payment must have either your student number if you're a student, or it must have your parent's name. So it must be made by a parent or you. So the 3% is only applicable for self-funded student. Okay, as I mentioned, it does not apply for international student also. Please note that for this, you cannot calculate the 3% in advance. So you first have to pay the full study fees, and then we will calculate the 3% for you. The 3% will then, once you have qualified and you've ticked all the boxes, will then be credited to your student account. So we don't pay it to your bank, but we credit it back to the student account. And then at the end of the year, if your account still has excess funds, then you can apply for that money to be refunded back to you. Okay, so the other rebate that we have is the staff rebate, which is administered by HR. So I'm not going to go into detail to that. So HR has the full criteria for that. So if you need more information on that, you just have to contact the HR office. We only just handle the transaction based on what the HR office has informed us. But just quickly, if you have a child, if you are a staff member and you have a child that is studying at the university, you may apply for that staff rebate. Please note that the closing date for the staff rebate will be the 30th of April. And the opening is normally around about towards the end of November this year. So you can just check the website, log in with your details as a staff member, and then you can apply for your child. And then the last rebate that we have is a family rebate. So if you have 3 children or more, which are studying currently for 2026, so all students must be fully registered for the year, you can apply for the 3%. There is a form that you need to complete, which is available again on mates.com. You complete it with your information and the student's information, and then you send it to us, and then same as the 3% rebate, that 10% rebate will then be credited to the student account. And then if there's a credit on the account, you can apply for it to be paid to your bank account at the end of the academic year. Okay, so once you have done all this, so just note that the statement of account, the students do have access to that. So the students can view their statement of accounts on my.san.ac.za, but the statement will, as student fees, we will send it on monthly basis, starting from the 15th of February. and then it will be sent thereafter the 15th of each month. So make sure that when the student registers next year, they do put in the correct details, and then they put in the correct details of the fee payer. So the email address must be there, because we will send based on those details that the student has provided during registration. And then, like I said, if at the end of the academic year, your account has a credit balance, you can send us an email and apply for that refund to be paid back to your account or to the funder's account. Please note that you also have an option for that credit balance to be used for the following year. So if you don't apply for it, then that balance will be transferred to next year's account. Okay, so other services that I've mentioned, which is the mail printing quota. So these are mostly useful for students who are at the residence. So if you are a student and you're at the SU resident, you have an option to book for mail quotas. So the mail quota works like this. So there is an amount that you can load on your account. For example, you can load 100 Rand. Then off that 100 Rand, you can use it to book meals at the dining hall, or you can purchase any food at the Nelsie Student Center. So that is what we call COP. So students can book at their dining hall, or they can use their student card to purchase food at the Nelsie store. Also, you can make use of the quota to do your laundry. So we do have our laundry facilities where students can just tap their card, and then an amount will be loaded on their student account. So all these laundry transaction, meals, printing, laundry quota will be reflected on the student account, and then will form part of the balance. So it will form part of the 20% that you're gonna pay, or if you're on debit order, it will form part of the 10% that you're gonna pay. So if you're a student who are staying outside the SU campus, you're not staying at the SU res, you are considered as a CSC student. So unfortunately for CSC students, the meal quota works differently. So they have to purchase it. For example, they have to go to the cashiers and pay 100 Rand, and then that 100 Rand can be converted into a voucher where they can use it for meals, or they can use it for printing, for laundry facilities, or also for printing. Okay, thank you very much. I think I've touched most of the points that Bradley mentioned. I will just hear from the questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Thabo. I really do appreciate it. I'm just gonna read some of the questions on the chat function, in the chat function, and then if that applies to you in terms of student fees, or to you, Bradley, in terms of bursaries and loans, then you can ask that. So there's one question that says email student accounts, nobody responds unless you get hold of it. When will achievement and merit awards for grade 12 marks be applied to the account? That's the first question. Another one is that my daughter has an external corporate bursary which only pays out twice a year at the start of the semester. Will this have an influence on her residence reallocation for semester 2? And then the last question on the same person, the system only triggers accounts to my daughter's son email account and not to any of the loaded fee payers. I've reported this to finance, but it does not get fixed. I know the answer for the last question, but for the first two for the questions, Thabo, I think this is mainly on student fees. Do you have any answer? When will the achievement and merit awards for grade 12 marks be applied to the account?
Okay, I'll view the merit that will fall under Bradley. So I'll just give it to Bradley.
Okay, thank you, Bradley.
Thanks, Thabo. So the Merit Achievement Award and Merit Awards for grade 12, well, if your daughter applies, sorry, not applies, qualifies for the award, we also have our own selection guidelines that we have to follow. And should your daughter be part of that pool, my colleague also mentioned that she has replied to this question. It normally gets allocated. Okay, so I see that my colleague has responded, Karushay, so I'll just read her response. Okay, so on your point number 1, she says, kindly note that sending an email to the student accounts at sun.ac.za emails triggers the creation of an uncategorized ticket. on our Jira Service Desk portal. To ensure that your query reaches the relevant administrator, I would advise you to log a ticket um, directly and follow the relevant prompts. Please ensure um, sorry, I'm trying to read fast because I'm for time. Please also note that the query responses may take time due to extended peak periods that you might be part in. And but if you'd like the detail, the response is in the chat. The second point, the Top Achiever and Excel Awards are in the process of being allocated to all students who have accepted the bursary on the Sun Student Portal. Point number 3, residence placement is secured annually at the beginning of the year and will not be affected by the tranche payments of the bursary in the second semester. For further residence-related inquiries, please do email info@sun so that you may be referred to the relevant residence officer. Please also ensure that you submit a bursary letter and proof of payment to the external bursary um, student finance division. And that's also on, again, our Jira ticketing system. And that should have been all the points, if I'm not mistaken. But as I said,
Yes, the last
response.
point is on the account that is sent to the student instead of the parent.
Okay, that could just be a preference issue on the student's profile. So when a student sets up their profile at registration or when they apply, they are prompted to fill in a fee payer. And most of the times, applicants or students would put in their own email address there. So she would just have to refer to her profile and ensure that students can change this information, and just ensure that if she would like her mom to receive the student fee statement, that is changed on the student fee profile.
Sorry, viewer, if I can just also add on that point,
Yes, please.
normally, the new system allows you to have multiple fee payers, so you can have more than one fee payers, but you can only have one primary fee payer. So it could be that the parent provided his fee payer's details, but the profile has not been ticked as a primary fee payer. So I would suggest either the student or the parent can just email us with the email that we should send the account to, so that we make sure that the primary fee payer is the one that has the fee payer's information. So if it's going to the student, which means that the fee payer's information is not sufficient. So if the student can just email or the parent can just email us, then we'll just update that information. And so secondly, just on the issue of Jira, as my colleague Karoshe has said there, please go to our website, log a Jira ticket for that. There is a category of your question. So that normally helps us in terms of replying quickly, and it directs your question to the correct person. So if you go to Jira and then you select the category and then you state your question, you provide the student number, it will be directly allocated to the relevant colleague for us to assist. Thank you.
Thank you, Tabo, as well as Bradley. Does the rebate only apply? Does the rebate apply when the students study fees are paid with a bursary?
I'm
So if a
assuming they're
bursary
referring to the
is a
3%.
yes.
Yeah, so if for the 3%, unfortunately, if you have a bursary, it does not apply. So you must be a self-funded student.
Thank you. I applied for the debit order option earlier this year and sent to the student accounts, and when I inquired, I was advised of the correct email address to use, which I did. To date, the debit order option has not been uploaded to date, and no response has been received when I make inquiries in this regard. I would appreciate to learn what the status of this matter is, and that is a parent, Nandi Gwili. Which email can they send this to, or do they log a ticket with Jira?
They can directly send me an email, tyholweni@sun.ac.za, and then I'll have a look at it.
Okay, thank you so much. I think we have another account query. I'm a parent in Zimbabwe. I've had challenges communicating with the accounts office with regards to my son's account. Please confirm, as a foreign student, the entire fees are supposed to be paid before they start. I ask because I have I have a statement with a balance.
So for international students, it's important to note that they have their own financial office at SUI. So at the Stellenbosch International Office, there is an office that is strictly reserved for international students. So please email suifinance@sun.ac.za, and then they'll be able to assist. Unfortunately, as a student fees will only administer SA students. We do get a lot of transactions for international students, but we cannot do anything without an instruction from the SUI Finance. So please send an email to SUIfinance@sun.ac.za, and then they will advise on how to settle your account. Also, international students can apply for a debit order, but they'll have to do this through the international office.
Thank you. So there was also another, oh, good evening. I've sent an email as I don't know how the NSFAS payment works, but the statement I received for the past few months shows full amount outstanding. Also don't know how to check if NSFAS covered full tuition. This is a first time NSFAS user. Bradley, that might be on you. Do you have an answer?
Yeah. Okay. I understand the session is for parents. So
Yeah.
that is not a question that I can answer generally.
Okay.
So what I would advise is if the parent can advise the student or come with the student, either book an online session with myself or any of my colleagues in the NSFAS space, then we
Yeah.
can just see what's happening on the profile, because I can't make a general statement on a question like that. We have to review the profile and actually see what is going on.
Thank you. So you can log a ticket on the Jira specifically for NSFAS and finance
Yeah.
bursaries and loans, and then they'll be able to help you with that. There was also a general question on how can the installments start from February when we only receive our first account middle of March? Tabo.
Okay, so this was just a once-off issue where we had a lot of issues with our system. As some of you might know, that we've recently moved to a new system, and then we have faced a lot of challenges last year, which we have managed to resolve most of it. There were quite a new challenges that we didn't expect this year, like delays in terms of, like I said, that this is a whole process. So there was a delay in terms of how the modules were loaded on the system from the faculty side of things that also affect us from the student account side of things. So that's why a lot of parents this year, you will see on your account, most of the study fees were loaded in March. Communication was sent in that explaining the detail and why it was loaded in there. But we are expecting as from next year that the processes will run smoothly and all the accounts should be available mid-February. So all the payments amounts will be indicated on the student account. So before end of Feb, you will know what you have to pay on the account. I would also suggest that as from November, also parents to compile a quotation to just to get an idea if they want to start financially planning for their children. Go to our website, which is matis.com. You can compile a quotation for their study fees, for accommodation fees, and also some of the services that I've mentioned, such as mail quota, printing quota. This will just give you more or less an idea of how much you pay, and then you can just take the total that is that you have quoted on, and then say 20% of that, then you'll have an idea more or less end of Feb how much you'll have to pay. The same also with debit order, you can just times the total by 10, and then it will give you more or less the amounts that you'll have to pay.
Thank you so much. There's also a merit award question. Are the merit awards based on nationality? The reason for my question is that my child had an average of 88.8% NSC, but he is a Lesotho national. Tabo, I think this is on you. Merit award. Or Bradley.
Yes.
If I
Bradley, sorry.
may, Biwe, and my colleague allows me, I would actually say my colleague Karushay, she's in the conversation. She'll just answer that question in the chat.
Okay.
So yeah, just hold on. That question will be answered in the chat.
Thank you. No worries. I'm trying to go further down. Good morning, good evening, sir. My daughter has a problem with the COB and it is making things very difficult for her. I've called an email, but we're still struggling. Please assist. I'm not sure what the question is
Mm.
technically about, so maybe the parent can explain further. If you have more questions on COB, you can email student accounts at Sun.
Yes,
Tabo?
that's correct. Yes, that's correct. They can look at Jira. There is a section for all the quota inquiries. So the COP inquiry might be broad because if it's an NSFAS student, there is a process for that might affect how the COP shows. And if it's a normal student, then there's a process. So I would need more detail in order to answer the parents. So if they can just specify either on the chat, or I will just be able to answer them.
Yes. So there's also a general concern or question regarding the 20% for 4 months, which does not make sense in terms of what we are being billed. So what depends, so the calculation of the 20% on our fee accounts do not make sense. It is 20% in equal installments for 4 months and then 5% for 4 months, or is it 20% on balance? They're trying to understand how does the 20% work on
Okay.
the accounts.
So just to state that my presentation today is likely based on how things will be next year. So this year,
Okay.
like I said, that with the delay of the study fees, which means that there was no 20% in end of February, then that affected the whole thing. So there will be communication that will be sent mid this month or later or early next month regarding how the new structure would work. So in a perfect world or next year, this is how it will work. Like I've said, it will be 20% of what's outstanding. So easiest ways to calculate it, you will see on your bills what bills that you have, the total that you have, and then you will times it by 20%, and then it will give you the exact amount. So this year has been an unusual year with all the delays. So that has affected how we build the account. So communication was also sent regarding those installment. I think 2 months ago. We are hoping, and as I've mentioned, we are hoping that next year we shouldn't face the same issues that we faced.
Thank you, Tabo. I think this is for you, Bradley. I don't know if you'll be able to answer. My daughter has been provisionally approved by NSFAS for bursary, but nothing has happened so far. I still have to pay everything. Do you know anything on the NSFAS? Do you think they still have to respond to people? And what does it mean being provisionally approved?
Okay. So yes, thank you, Viwe. So being provisionally approved, let's touch on that. It means that you are provisionally, as the word states, funded by the bursar. NSFAS also has this disclaimer where they're saying they reserve the right to unfund students at any time. Hence why the wording is of note. But a student is provisionally funded up until or is provisionally funded for the whole year up until NSFAS pays. And they will also notice their status changes throughout the year. So on the portal, it will be at first, normally when they're funded, it will be provisionally funded. Then the status on the NSFAS portal, it will change to registration results or registration data received. And then after that, the status will change again to requesting academic results. That's more closer to the end of the year. And then NFS makes a decision for funding for the next year. So that's generally how the status is changed on the NSFAS portal. So if your daughter is still on provisionally funded, it could mean one of two things. Again, it's a very broad question, so I'm going to try and answer it broadly. It could mean one of two things. I'm not saying this is the case for your daughter in particular, but one, it could be that your daughter is provisionally funded on the NSFAS portal, and as I mentioned in my slides, we as this CUBL office operate under the directive of NSFAS. So for that status to change and for rich data to be sent, we need to pick your daughter up on a funded list. And that's something that we do a matching to. Then we know as an institution that this student is funded. We can't work off the portal status. It has to be on a funded list. That's number one. If number two, the rich data, if your daughter is funded and we've picked it up, it could just mean that we still have to send the rich data, or we have sent the rich data, and NSFAS still has to link it. So again, that is something I'm going to have to review the profile for, just to get the detail, but that's the likely scenario of what it could be.
Thank you so much. There was a question. Sorry, there's some. So it's about refund. So how do we get a refund if fees are paid in full but received a bursary funding after fees were paid in full? Tabo.
Okay, you will have to provide us confirmation of your banking details and also together with the proof of payments that you have made on the account. If the payments are made by a different person other than the one who's sending an email, then we'll need written instruction from that person in order to refund the student. Please note that for NSFAS student, it works differently. You just have to speak to Bradley about it. But for normal students who are on external bursaries, if you can provide us with proof that you have made the payment, and also with certain bursaries, normally the funders will want us to inform them on any transaction that happens on the account. So in some cases, we might ask you to also provide proof that you have informed your funder that you have credit on the account, and then they've agreed that you can apply for it to be refunded. And also you can just log that there is a section for refunds on our safe service desk on our Jira tickets. Log it there and then it will be escalated to the correct person.
Thank you so much. One last question before we end off. The rebate form, is it available on the website? Where can the parents get the rebate form?
So all the forms for student fees are available on matis.com. So you'll see on top there on the tab, there is a fees section. You can get it from there. And also if you log into the Jira platform that we have mentioned, so every category, if there is a form that is applicable, for example, if you select the category of your inquiry is a debit order, there will be a link for the form there. So you'll be able to download that form. Same for family rebate. And also for 3% rebate. Staff rebate, that is applied to our HR portal.
A quick one. I know this parent was charged 2,800 for network, for Wi-Fi in February. I know, and they're trying to get their refund back regarding that, or they were charged incorrectly. Do we know who they can contact with regards to the charging of Wi-Fi? I did say that they can
Yes.
contact student accounts at sun.ac.za. That would be the appropriate place.
So the appropriate one would be help at SUN, because the
Okay.
network registration levy is administered by them. So
Okay.
once the student registers the device, and then they just log it from their side, and then it triggers the transaction on the account. So the best starting point will be help at SUN. But if you already sent it to our mailbox, we'll just forward it to them, and then they will then forward it to me to do the corrections.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Tabor, as well as Bradley. I do appreciate you taking your time here to actually answer all of these questions that our parents as well as our students have. I think that was a very insightful conversation as well as insightful presentations that you've done to actually give us a breakdown of what the student fee structure looks like at Stellenbosch University and also what the student finance look like at Stellenbosch University. Thank you so much. And I really do hope that some of the parents answers were answered. I mean, some of the parents' questions were answered today, as well as to Karuchi, who's been answering some of the answers, who's been answering some of the questions on our chat function. I really do appreciate you taking your time to actually answer some of those questions. So once again, parents, if you have any more questions, please make sure that you are emailing all the relevant people. If you're unaware of who to email, you can direct some of your questions to alumni at Sun. That is alumni@sun.ac.za, and we'll be able to direct you to the relevant person in the university. This is part of the Matie Valued Parent Installment, and this was mainly on student finance. If any other questions you have on student accommodation registration, we do have some of these online on YouTube, so make sure that you are joining there and watching the previous virtual talks. Thank you again, Tabo. Thank you again, Bradley. I know, Tabo, you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm sorry to disturb there. I'm just going through the chat. Just scanning through. I see there's a question regarding COP. I'm just gonna quickly address. So if a student doesn't use any of the quota that has been loaded COP at the end of the academic year, we do reconcile the account, and then that amount is credited back to the student account. And I see there was also a parent saying that the student is struggling with quota. I assume that's an NSFAS student. So for NSFAS student, NSFAS funds the student for this year to an amount of 13,450. So that amount is for the full year. However, the students, they get that amount daily in a form of 60 rand. So they have 60 rand that they can, that gets loaded on their FMS account. That's where the quota, the meal quota system works. So the students will get that 60 rand, and then on the student account, there'll be a once-off monthly charge. So the 60 rand times the number of days in the month, for example, 60 times 30 days, and then it will be 1,800, and then that transaction will be loaded beginning of each month. So if the student is on NSFAS and is not getting a quota, it means that they've already reached their maximum for the month. So it's important for the student to contact the relevant NSFAS coordinator, and then they'll be able to explain the full process on that. So it's not a meal quota problem or system problem. It's just the rules that have been set out for NSFAS students. Thank you, viewer.
Thank you so much, Tabo. We've reached the end of our conversation. So thank you to all the parents that have joined us tonight. We really do appreciate you taking your time to actually learn more about what's happening within your student's life. This is, again, part of the Matie Valued Parent. If you have any more questions, please make sure that you email alumni@sun. And again, once off, thanks to our speakers for tonight, Tabo Cholwene as well as Bradley Vidboy, for sharing insights on what is happening at Student Finance. Thanks, everyone, and have a good night.